Alright, we're continuing with section 9.1a. We're looking at simplifying radicals and radical properties. So let's take a look at example B here. I've got 5 root 3 times 2 root 2. And when we're multiplying and simplifying radicals, if you think about like terms, that may help you. So for this, we're going to think of this 5 and this 2 as like terms, and then the square root of 3 and the square root of 2 as like terms. So I'm just going to rearrange, and I'm going to put the 5 times 2 in the front, and then anything that's under a radical, I'm going to put that under a single radical. Right? And as long as there's no pairs there, it's not going to simplify. So I have a single 3 and a single 2. And then all we need to do is multiply outside and multiply inside. So we're going to get 10 root 6. Alright, and that would be our final answer. Alright, so similarly, let's take a look at part D here. So this is 4 times 3 root 2 squared. And we know this 2 up here means repeated multiplication. So this is going to be the same as 4 times 3 root 2 times 3 root 2. So again, I'm just going to rearrange. On the outside, I have 4 times 3 times 3, and under the radicals I'm going to have the square root of 2 times 2. So we notice now I've got a pair of 2's under here, and we learned before that anytime I have a pair, that's going to simplify to a single 2 without a radical, because that's 2 times 2 is 4, and the square root of 4 is 2. So now this becomes 4 times 3 times 3 times 2. This whole thing here is 2, and if we multiply that out, we should get 72. Alright, let's do one more example for this video. Again, feel free to pause, rewind as needed. I know I'm going a little fast in these examples. Alright, so this one's a little bit different because we have subtraction. And again, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you want to think about like terms. So in order to add or subtract radical expressions, the radicals have to be the same. This is the square root of 54, and this is the square root of 24. Those aren't the same, so we cannot add them. Okay, it would be kind of like adding 3x and 3y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify both of those. So square root of 54, some factors of 54 are 6 and 9. And then 6 is going to be 2 times 3, so those are prime numbers. I'm going to highlight those. And then 9 is 3 times 3. Those are prime numbers, so I'm done simplifying square root of 54. And let's do the same thing with 24. 24 is 4 times 6, and 4 is 2 times 2, and 6 is 2 times 3. So again, these are my prime factors of 24. Let's go ahead and put all this back into the problem. So this is 3 times the square root of 54 is 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. So I've got a pair over here, which I'll take out in a minute, minus 3 times the square root of 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. I'm just taking these 4 prime factors and putting it under a radical instead of square root of 24. And I have a pair of 2's there. So now this becomes 3 times the square root of 3 times 3. That whole thing's going to simplify to 3. And then I have a 2 and a 3 left that aren't paired up, minus 3 times the square root of 2 times 2 for this pair, and then I have a 2 and a 3 left. So we notice in these two terms I have a 2 and a 3 underneath the radical left over. So this is going to be 3 times 3, that's what this is, 3, times the square root of 6, minus 3 times 2, the square root of 2 times 2 is 2, times the square root of 6 also. So multiply inside and outside, so 3 times 3 is 9. 9 root 6 minus 6 root 6. So now notice I have the same radical here. So this would be similar to doing 9x minus 6x, which would be 3x. So if we apply that over here, 9 root 6 minus 6 root 6 is going to be 3 root 6. Alright, so there's a lot of information in this. I strongly recommend that you watch it through one more time so you won't have to be writing down. And make sure you get help if you need it. And we'll see you next time.